Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to The Voice of the Valleys with your host, Mr. George Cresswell. I hope we're all doing well. Got a fair few things to go over today. A lot of them I've already got laid out, ready to go. Want to keep this as short as possible. By God, it's hard to keep up with everything going on right now. There's been so many things that have just been literally my X feed at the moment, because I get most of this from has literally just been bookmark, and it's just like coming back to it now when I'm recording this. Going to try and get it done as quickly as possible, because I do want to go to the gym. Meant to go to the gym today, but haven't had a chance to go yet. I do want to go to the gym. It's currently 10 to 9 in the evening at time of recording this, and Saturday the 29th of March 2025. But anyway, we've got some stuff to get into today. We're going to start off with something, just a little bit of an update in the world of retardation. Honestly, we're a world of retardation in the UK right now. I'm saying that quite deliberately because of how things are at the moment, but they will return simply to the UK one day. Make no mistake about it. But I mentioned last time some of the reactions which I didn't quite get to see before I mentioned this at the start, or when we talked about it in the last episode, which will probably be dropping next Wednesday, I think, if we haven't talked about it in one before then, is Rupert Lowe recently launched a rape gang inquiry independent of any other political party or MPs, and it has skyrocketed. So I mentioned, I think at the time, that in the first, it's been, let me see, I'm trying to find if it says on here when this was actually started, when this was started. So it has 40 days left, but it doesn't appear to show the date on here which it was created. However, I'll see if I can get it on here now. He announced it March 28th, which was only yesterday. He announced it yesterday at 10:24 a.m. So it is now, as I said, 10 to 9 in the evening. That puts us at about, 36 hours thereabout. So 10:30 to 10:30 is 12 hours, another 10:30. So by 10:30 this evening, it'll be 36 hours. So not even a day and a half since Rupert Lowe announced this. This tells you how much people care about this issue. A lot of people were saying that they'd actually lost respect for Rupert Lowe because of this, maybe because they're seeing it, and I really hope this is not the case, as some kind of publicity push, right? He distanced himself from Reform. Reform said they were going to do this. So is he using the victims simply as some kind of, political weapon, so to speak? Now, that would be very, very, not just unprofessional, but downright, morally, disgusting. There will be no words for how morally disgusting that would be. And I'm just getting it ready for you now. I'm going to show you, because it is absolutely, and this is why I hope it is genuine, because so many people have chipped in to contribute to this because of how much people care about it. And because I actually have faith that if anyone is going to be done properly, it's going to be this one. Even if it has no real legal binding power, even if it has no, direct legal legislative power in and of itself, it keeps it in the public talking point. So it stops people from simply forgetting about it, because you'd be surprised how quickly people forget about things. The old stereotype where goldfish have very short memory, even though I've seen that many videos or many comments saying that's widely debunked. That's not actually a thing. But, we have extremely short memory spans. We have extremely short-term memory in this country, and no long-term memory to think of. But anyway, point being is that the rape gang inquiry target has not only already exceeded its main target, which was, it doesn't actually say what the main target was on here, I don't think. It gives a detailed breakdown on what it will be used for, and all of these things, even what happens if witnesses don't show, all of these things, right? Because of how much Rupert Lowe has put into keeping this in the public space, that's why I don't think he's using this as publicity. I think he genuinely wants to get some answers for the people that they feel confident that they can trust because they know they would have been done this properly. We've talked about how past inquiries have been done deliberately in order to downplay the issue, and as a result, people don't trust any of the independent inquiries that have done before. But since its inception yesterday morning, as I said, it has not only exceeded its target by a ridiculous margin because of how many people have contributed to it. I'll give you a clue. Over 10,000, nearly 10,200 people have contributed to this so far, and I will be contributing what I can to it as well. But since then, it has gone on, as I said, in its first 36 hours, to garner 328,000, well on its way to 329,000 pounds. Remember when Farage was saying that he could do this in a day if he wanted to? And even others like Catherine Blakelock are saying like, well, he can just give off his £500,000 bonus from NatWest and we'd be well on our way to doing this, right? Funny how he hasn't said anything about this yet. He hasn't, as far as I know, said anything about this, that Rupert Lowe has launched this, whether he's going to help it, all of these things. Ben Habib has said that he'd be donating and all of these things, right? But it is well on its way to its £500,000 stretch target, and it's still got 40 days left. You gotta respect it in a way, even if you think that maybe in the back of your mind or in the back of Rupert's mind, he could be doing it for political gain or all of these things. Now, I genuinely think that he cares. Even though this might not have any direct legislative power, I genuinely think that it cares. And the biggest thing is it keeps it in the public discourse. It stops people from forgetting about it. It's stopping people from forgetting about it. And it's actually giving people a glimmer of hope. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to agree on everything, but it's giving people a glimmer of hope that something might actually be done to really get to the root of what has happened, all of the abuse, with somebody that the people at the heart of this, which is obviously the victims and their families, feel they can trust. That is the main. Okay. So again, we'll go over a little bit about how this is going to work. So it says here they got a quite a detailed structure of the inquiry. So they're going to bring in a qualified legal panel and legal advisory team, or qualified panel, sorry, and legal advisory team. And they've got 3 stages: launch and evidence collection for the first one, in which case they will have an official launch of the inquiry with a call for written evidence, a secure submission process, and a clear deadline for all submissions. Then they will have the public hearings, and it will be multiple day. Sorry, guys, I heard knocking. I was just wondering what it was. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry about that, guys. Fair to say, my black Labrador is black Labradoring, and I'm going to quickly reformat this so you can actually read the whole thing. I realized when I cropped it earlier, I've now cropped the left-hand side off, so I'll quickly format that so you can see it. Right, there we go. Like I said, apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, so it's reformatted now you can read it. So you can read stage 1, launch and evidence collection. So you have the official launch and a secure submission process with a given and clear deadline. You have multiple day live streams, hearing period, and hearings will be closed to the public for safety and control, but broadcast online to ensure transparency. A panel-led questioning of witnesses. In cases of non-attendance, questions will still be put on record. Witness protection and safeguarding will be prioritized. And then you have report and publication. So you have a closed period for the panel to compile the findings and draft the report, a preset publication date, so we'll know exactly when we can expect the findings to be published. Hopefully they don't do something like Bindergate out in America at the moment, where it did do a lot of damage, that release, even though I could see maybe what they were going for. The Bindergate did do a lot of damage to a lot of people's reputations and to Pam Bondi's as well, even though I fully hope that they're working very well behind the scenes in the background, and they are going to come out and be transparent with it. But it does make you think, when they done the release of the JFK files and they just put them all out there, why couldn't they obviously have done the same as an idea anyway? Why couldn't they have just put whatever they had, whatever Pam Bondi had, why couldn't they have just put it online? Why couldn't they have just put it out there? You know, even if it was, she'd put it all out there, as Laura Loomer has been saying, she put it all out there, and then after that, she realizes that there's so much that hasn't been done. The FBI, I think it was the Southern District in New York office, tried to swindle her and tried to pull the wool over her eyes, and then she found out she could literally just say, I've just found out SDNY or whoever it was has held so much from me, I'm working on it right now, we're down there, we're making heads roll, bear with us. They didn't need to go through this whole Bindergate thing. I hope they don't do that. I just hope they publish it online, learn the lessons from something like the Jeffrey Epstein case out in America at the moment, how not to deal with it, and then they will put the findings out there, and then they'll have a follow-up Q&A session led by Rupert and the panel to publicly respond to the findings. It was great. It's almost like what we've done in uni where, pardon me, after our dissertation, we would do a Viva session. So there would be a presentation and then it'd be a Viva. So you literally present your findings to your supervisor and an independent person, another professor at the university, but in an unrelated field. And then they both be able to ask you questions. So there you go, based on what you've shown and all stuff like that. So anyway, that's where we have that. But it's amazing to see that this has, gone into the stratosphere already. And this happened within hours. It hit its target within, as you said, a few hours. It hit its 100,000 target. And now it's well on course to achieving its 500,000 target. And that's without any external assistance from Containment UK. So that's amazing. Like I said, I hope it's not a publicity stunt. It would be like the largest. And I do think that, people would actually want heads to roll. I think if this was just being used as a publicity stunt and people found that out, then I think we would actually have something like the French Revolution of the 18th century on our hands with how angry people would be. But that's where we are with that at the moment. And keep you updated on that as it propels forward. So now we're going to go into the main things we want to talk about today. As I said, we live in a nation of retards, at least 25% of retards, because I'm going to show you this headline from Politics UK. And then I'm going to read the article that they've linked, if I can actually get it, which I think I do. It's from the Times. So the article they've linked is from the Times. And we're going to... I can't actually read the article because apparently you have to be a Times subscriber to read it. So we won't be reading that. But this headline, 25% of Brits now self-identify as being disabled, having substantial and long-term effects, quote unquote, on their ability to function. Self-identify, mind you. Self-identify. Honestly, what more could you say? There you got people clowning it in the comments. So you have one account here. I now identify as a trans black Pakistani Muslim if I ever end up in court. Oh, another person actually with a decent comment here saying, if 25% of people are classed as disabled, then that's a problem with how wide the definition is. By this definition, more people have become disabled in recent years than 2 world wars combined inflicted on society. Yep, it's a mental contagion. It's a mental contagion. Stop this anti-disabled bullshit. Yeah, it is. It's disgusting. It's like the people that are doing the encampments, the most privileged people in the country that are going to these top-class universities on mommy and daddy's dime, that are doing these encampments because they want to cosplay as people that are actually going through suffering. That's where I can only get from where it says 25% of person have self-identify. So not had a diagnosis of some kind of disability or anything like that, whether it be, blindness, deafness. I feel blind, okay, I feel disabled, just because they feel as though they need some kind of victim points. They haven't actually got enough things going wrong in their life that they actually want to try and adopt something wrong that somebody else has. Okay, it's truly disgusting. But then again, the world has learned, or people have learned, that at the moment in the Western world with the woke mind virus, that victimhood, having something to make people feel sorry for you, is somehow a virtuous and good thing. And if you don't have that, we'll just hijack someone else's. Anyway, on to more serious stuff now. So this is something that should really, really worry you. So I've covered this gentleman before. His name is Enoch Burke. So Enoch Burke, I'll read you his X bio, his simplified X bio, if it will load. He's an Irish teacher, or at least he was. He's jailed for refusing to comply with transgender ideology at school with Church of Ireland ethos, 2 genders, male and female. No, I think there's a problem with the word gender as a whole. I think you should call it 2 sex, male and female. Then you have, intersex as a condition, as an anomaly. But outside of that, what do you have? Outside of male and female, really, what do you have? Through all of the animal kingdom, what do we have? You have male and you have female. And then sometimes you have an abnormality that gets people to have ambiguous genitalia and all of these things. But point being is that Enoch Burke was jailed. I believe he was jailed twice. He was at least arrested twice for refusing to comply with gender ideology that the Irish government was trying to force onto his students. He refused to call a, quote unquote, non-binary or gender fluid, whatever the hell it was, gender bending, cross-dressing, child. And obviously I'm being a bit facetious there when maybe I shouldn't be, because these are children that are being indoctrinated into this ideology when they don't know any better. But he had not only had his bank account frozen by the Irish government, he's now had his bank account rinsed by the Irish government. So they did not only freeze his account like Trudeau did with the trucker protests against COVID, right, in 2021. They raided his bank account and have left him with nothing, literally nothing. It has €0 balance. Obviously, they use euros in Ireland. €0 balance after courts raided his account, which initially had just over 40,000 in there. Teacher Enoch Burke has refused to endorse transgenderism in his school because he's sane and he's a good teacher. Well, at least I assume he's a good teacher anyway. His entire bank account has now been seized by the Irish courts. The courts have also directed that the Irish Attorney General, Rossa Fanning, may apply to seize any other assets owned by Enoch Burke. So they're literally just stealing from this man. The state is stealing from this man. They've stolen all of his savings, and now they're saying they could potentially seize any other assets owned by him. I don't know, his car, his house potentially, or whatever other accommodation he has. Who's to say they won't go after his family next? This should really, really scare you, because this could happen here. In fact, the odds are it is happening here. It happened with the Santander Bank that we covered about a day or two ago. The root cause of this case was the principal's direction to all staff to address a male student by a new name and the they pronoun. This demand had no legal authority and has never been assessed for its constitutionality or lawfulness by any court. Remember, Jordan B. Peterson got in serious trouble or similar trouble for this. And then again, I believe that was the first case of a government attempting to mandate speech under threat of legal penalty. In pursuit of a political ideology. So there's a video attached to this post, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show that to you now. We'll watch this together. I don't believe I've watched this video yet, but we'll watch this video together now. You can see just how much danger, pardon me, that we are in. So let me show that to you now.
Enoch Burke here. I'm standing outside the Bank of Ireland branch in Castlebar, County Mayo. When I left my workplace today, Wilson's Hospital School, at about 5:30 in the evening, I checked my bank balance, and this is what I found.
So there you go.
Zero.
For those, you just said it, obviously, for those who, and obviously he's willingly displayed that there, so I don't need to worry about the number or anything. But he's displaying his phone screen to the camera, guys, and on there you can clearly see it says 0.00 euros. They have completely emptied his account.
Euro in my bank account. I have been robbed.
And there you go. So it says here now. Sorry about that, guys. I had to just put my I haven't actually plugged my charger in. Do bear with me, guys. Do bear with me a second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So yeah, I had to do that. So on the screen here, you can see now it says court's service payment on the 28th of the 3rd, 2025, minus £40,617.69. So obviously they use euros and cents. So yeah, the Irish courts have simply emptied his bank account. Remember what I said, the money in your account is no longer your money? This should scare every single one of us massively.
€40,617 by the courts. Judge David Nolan Mr. Rossa Fanning, the Attorney General, and the government all working hand in hand. These people are millionaires. They're driving out of the forecourts in their big cars, but they're vultures.
When you're in a socialist country, guys, always take into account how big your politicians' houses are. You live in squalor. You live in absolute squalor. Your hospitals are falling apart. Your schools, all of this stuff is falling apart, right? Your politicians will drive around in the big fucking fancy cars. Your politicians will have lovely, pristine houses and have all the luxuries in life. You will be left with nothing. That's a staple of a socialist society. Yet people, for some reason, keep voting for it. They keep voting for it. Well, because when the field is leveled, some people improve more than others, and obviously you can't have that little demon of envy again. You can't have that, can you?
Sniffing around now to take from me everything I own, to strip from me every asset I have, and to look for anything that I might have that they can take away. That's what these people are doing. We know it all goes back to the fact that in 2022, I was demanded by Principal Niamh McShane to promote transgenderism in the school where I worked. A demand made by that principal, Niamh McShane, still a principal in a school down in Cork, a demand that should never have been made and should not be made today, because there is no shred of legal authority for that demand to be made. But of course, the Minister for Education, Norma Foley, now the Minister for Children, when she was confronted by my family, or asked by my family when I was incarcerated about this issue in 2022, she ran away. She was telling the public lies.
They're massive cowards. They talk a big game, obviously, and they wield a lot of power. They have the power that's been given to them by their role and by their, responsibilities within that. And what we're seeing now is our politicians wielding that like a sword against anybody that gets in their way. They've been elected there. They've been put there by people to represent them. And instead, now that they've been put there, now that they've got the sword and the power and the dominion, now they're going to turn on the people for their own gain. They're going to wield that sword against anybody that dare stand in the way against the indoctrination of children, that dare stand in the way of net zero and having their quality of life drastically cut down by these suicidal, paganistic ambitions, whereby anything is being put on. You have the religion of multiculturalism, you have the religion of net zero, the religion of deindustrialization. You have all of these things. You have all of these things that we have to, drop and bow ourselves at the authority of and at the thing of, when it's all about taking money and power from you and transferring it to them. It's what it's always been about in any communist, socialist, or even fascist, system, national socialist system. Again, socialism, that common thread.
Saying that this wasn't being taught in schools and classrooms, that it wouldn't happen, but of course it did happen. And the Department for Education is dealing illegally in this matter. The current Minister for Education, Helen McEntee, she is dealing illegally in this matter. And that's the whole problem here from the very beginning. When you go to court, the judges are running out the door. They will.
Rules for thee, but not for me. That's the way it's always been. Rules for them, but not for us. We want to say, so that we get up at thee on social media and we don't like the way that things are going, you get put in prison. Mike Amesbury, that physically assaults and demeans one of his constituents in a street by punching him in the face and punching him while he's down, he gets a suspended sentence. He gets let off with nothing whatsoever. But your relatives, your friends, your nan, like I've said time and time and time again before, they'll get visits from the police for things that they say on social media or whatever it may be. And next Tuesday, we're then going to see full apartheid in the UK, unless we see something out of the fitting that it comes on April Fool's Day. I just realized that now. April Fool's Day will be the day that an apartheid system comes into the UK, whereby if you're white and if you're male and if you're Christian, you will be treated more harshly in front of the legal system. I'm not even joking.
Will not deal with this issue. And it's very sad to be in that state in the country where the judges are telling lies, where the government's working along with them. And of course, we now know that we've been told now today that, the country is going to have a great recession, tens of thousands of jobs to be lost, maybe a lot more than that, hundreds of thousands. We're being told this by Pascal Donoghue.
Not to mention Sinn Féin, the government in Ireland at the moment, as was exposed, or as was further exposed, I won't say exposed by, but further exposed by, further highlighted by Conor McGregor in the White House. Despite what you think of him personally, he was completely right when he said this, that Sinn Féin are trying to replace the ethnic Irish population. Government in Ireland, under directives from the UN and all of these other globalist organisations, non-governmental organisations, are actively working on replacing the ethnic Irish population with their migrant plantations and with their migrant army that they are bringing in. There is an ethnic cleansing going on across Europe and across the British Isles and across Ireland at the moment that really now needs to be reversed. It's particularly bad in Ireland, Scotland as well. I've seen it. It's particularly bad in and obviously many areas of England as well have now been completely ethnically cleansed of native English people. So it's going on right now, except it's being done under the guise of tolerance. That's why people don't tell anybody about it. It's being made to be a good thing. It's not a good thing.
He's telling us that hard times are coming. You know why? Because he's not fit to rule this country. We know they went to America. There was a lot of spin. But the Americans, it didn't go down well with the Americans because they could smell, I would say, simply the spin. Pascal Donoghue is looking to Europe now, but he's defying God and the rest of the government. Micheál Martin, Helen McEntee, they're defying God in this country. But righteousness exalts.
At their own peril. At their own peril. Just remember that, whatever you're going to... whatever you're going to do, just be wary. Just be wary. That's all I'll say.
A nation, righteousness, giving people their just liberties, giving them their due, giving them...
Why has that done that? No, it's gone really low quality for some reason. Oh, no, it's the same.
God in this country. But righteousness exalts a nation. Righteousness, giving people their just liberties, giving them their due, giving them the right to live uprightly and morally and righteously. That is what exalts this nation. And it's a shame that the church has been silent on this matter, hasn't stood up and exalted God. Our religious freedom is being taken from us in this country. So that's the situation as it stands now tonight. 42,000 euro and more taken from my bank account, every penny stripped from me.
The church is silent on this, and he made a great point there that the church is silent on it. The church has been silent on, persecution of Christians in the Congo, the killing that occurred not too long ago of the 77 Christians that occurred by Muslims, by Muslim extremists in the Congo, and everywhere else. We've actually got an instance, one or two instances of things that have been happening from the resource Jihad Watch by Robert Spencer. We're going through that as well. And not good. It's looking quite bleak. But not forever. Speaking of problems with this kind of thing, recently, yesterday at midnight for some reason, or midnight yesterday, 12:16 a.m., we had these results from a by-election in Mayfield in Redbridge Council. Now, Redbridge Council, have a look where exactly that is so that you can... if I have a look at Mayfield, where is Mayfield? So Mayfield is, I believe, according to this, in Sussex. It is a large village in northeast Sussex, 9 miles south of Tunbridge Wells. Okay, so pretty much if we go to a map, so I can tell you pretty much exactly where this is located geographically. So Mayfield If we zoom out of this, I apologize, guys. This is very, very slow. I might just have to pause this 2 seconds. Not the stream, something else. Well, not the recording, but something else. So if we have a look, this right here is a world map. This is a world map. And as you can see here, you have Netherlands. And right now we're centered over the North Atlantic Ocean. I didn't know there was a Labrador Sea. There is a Labrador Sea, but here's this little island known as the United Kingdom. And here's Ireland, right? That's where we were just talking about. Now, if we zoom in, and we zoom in, and we zoom in, right here, right, is Mayfield. So here you go. You have Tunbridge Wells here. So you come down about 9 miles south, and this is Mayfield. Nice, quaint English town, right? Nice, quaint English community. Well, they had a startling election result in their by-election. So what result did they observe? Well, they observed a new surge of an independent candidate. So I believe Labour dropped down 44.7 points to 26.1. You had Ilford Independents gain from Labour. So you have Election Maps UK. And you have this Ilford Independent, who came out on top. You had Labour in second with 26.1. You had Conservatives, 19.4. So even if you add those together, Uniparty members together, you only just get over the threshold of what they had. Then you have the other new addition to the Uniparty down here. Anyway, now you might have seen that comment down towards the bottom where the bottom border is. Why is this concerning? Why is this concerning? Normally, when we sort of break out of the normal two-party system, it's normally viewed as a good thing. Well, if we look down, what do you notice here in this comment? It's a predominantly Muslim area. It's majority Muslim, 51.4%. This, my friends, is exactly what people tried to warn us about when they say people vote on tribal lines, and that the people that we've brought in want to use the system to subvert the system. This is sectarianism in action. This is whereby entire councils, entire potentially even constituencies now, how do you think we end up with a, Muslim mayor in Brighton, right? Because they're voting along these tribal lines, and they've actually got enough of the politicians now, enough of the population, to actually replace entire political candidates due to simply voting in their own block. And there's no competition. There's nothing really that people can do. There's nothing really that people can do. This is very scary. This is very scary indeed. So yeah, coming to a constituency near you very soon. Another very, very concerning point that we're going to go through now is something that happened recently. And there are no words. There are absolutely no words to describe this. And I'm going to see if I can find one particular person's quote of this in particular, if it is this exact post that they commented on or they quoted. Because even from across the Atlantic in America, they made a very, very astute observation. So this is Hertfordshire Police. They're the stars of this next story. Because they recently, March 28th, yesterday, at 10 to 7, this story broke. From a Times radio. Says here, I complained about my daughter's school on WhatsApp, and then 6 police officers turned up. From the Times radio, somebody, there's 2 parents here who were arrested by 6 police officers after they turned up to their house because they dared criticize, or they did have reservations about their school, where I believe it's their daughter goes to school, about their hiring processes and recruitment processes for, I believe it is headmaster or head teacher, I think they're known now, but headmaster or assistant headmaster, you know, covering headmaster. What's the word we normally use? Like, not interim. There's another word that we use to describe these kinds of things, right? Where somebody takes over until they find a true replacement or until they promote the person to the role. I can't remember the exact term that they use. But they did criticize, or they did talk about that and say some slightly negative things in a private WhatsApp group with other parents. Next thing you know, they get six uniformed police officers turning up at their door to arrest them. Here's the Times Radio with the story, guys, and I'll play the video for you now.
6 police officers came to my house and arrested me. Why? Because I'd been talking about my daughter's school on a WhatsApp group. It was the morning of Wednesday, the 29th of January, about 11:45. I was on a Zoom call for a work project, when on my Zoom screen, in the little window where I saw my own face, I realised that 2 police officers were standing behind me. Another 2 police officers.
I'm going to pause that. For those of you who can't watch the video and you're hearing it, outside this gentleman's house on video, you can count them at the moment. There's several police cars. You can see them lined up in the background on the street. There's about 3 police cars, one of which seems to be like a kind of heavier duty sort of SUV. And the other one here, you can see them here. There's 4 police officers and I believe 1 hidden behind one of the gentlemen here, which can't quite see. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at this point, and I believe one of them turns up a little bit later as well.
Police officers were standing behind me. Another 2 police officers were arresting my partner, Rosalind, in front of Francesca, our 3-year-old daughter.
So you have a 3-year-old daughter, and they're arresting the mother in front of her. This reminds me a lot of a story that broke a little while ago with video. So it's not just a story that somebody wrote, there's an actual video there, where police turned up heavy-handedly, very heavy-handedly arrested, I believe it was an autistic girl. I believe it was an autistic girl, because she, not understanding, you know, how people can interpret her words and stuff, said to a police officer, I believe she was quite young, you know, I don't think she was a teenager yet, she wasn't 3 years old, but I don't think she was a teenager yet, or maybe she was early teens from what I can remember. Said that the police officer looked like her lesbian nan or lesbian nana, right? Next thing you know, a bunch of police are turning up and they're forcefully arresting this child. And if you watch the video, the screams and the distress you could hear the cause of this child are truly, you know, it's not pleasant listening and watching, put it that way. But this is not a new case of police overreach in this instance. And you can imagine how much it's going to affect the child, seeing police arresting their mother in front of them for things that they said in a private WhatsApp group. That's where we are in the UK.
They bundled us into the police cars and took us off to custody at Stevenage Police Station.
So he's being arrested at this point.
12 hours.
And they were held there for 12 hours. So for those of you not watching the video, you have a uniformed officer and this gentleman with his hands cuffed behind his back walking in the direction of the police cars. And he just said, as I'll replay it now, they took them off to a police station and they were held there for 12 hours.
Cars and took us off to custody at Stevenage Police Station, where we remained for the next 12 hours. He arrested me on suspicion of harassment and malicious communications, and it was to do with a dispute with our daughter's primary school, which began with posts on a WhatsApp group. On the 23rd of November 2023.
Not to mention, that's how far this story goes back. That's how far this goes back. November 23rd, 2023.
The head teacher of my daughter's primary school announced he would retire. But what seemed strange to me was the Board of Governors decided immediately to appoint the deputy head as acting head 10 months later without even advertising the job.
Okay, so give you guys a little bit of a recap. So they're getting arrested now yesterday. So November 23rd, 2023 is when the head teacher, the original head teacher, headmaster, whatever, says to, breaks the news that he's going to retire. 10 months go by. Not sure what happens in that interim 10 months. You think it'd be quite important to fill that role, but obviously they have a deputy head teacher. And now they've just decided that 10 months later, they're going to give them the role. Maybe they were on some kind of secondment. Maybe they're on some kind of training period. I don't know. But it's normal for parents to have issues with this kind of thing. You should be taking your child's education seriously, and you should be involved in it, especially if they're in public school. Because for 6 hours, you have no idea what they're being taught. And you know from things we talked about, they're being taught absolute rubbish. They're being taught absolute indoctrination, not education. So you should be involved. You should be interested. And as a result, in something that's as important as the head teacher role, which is the role which keeps all the teachers in line and oversees the entire school, you want somebody that you know is going to be obviously good. And maybe you want to see a wide variety of candidates assessed. Okay? But the school decided, for whatever reason, that they're just going to push the deputy head teacher into this role. And parents, they might have a few issues with that. And they might decide that if it was on them, they might decide to do it differently. And they can grumble about these kinds of things. Parent has every right to do that. Doesn't necessarily mean at this point what the school did was wrong. The deputy head teacher might be perfectly equipped for the role and be a perfect fit for the role, But on a private WhatsApp group, they had a couple of grumblings because they didn't advertise the job to anywhere else or whatever. And this is what they sent 6 police officers to arrest them for.
So I made some inquiries. I contacted the chair of governors in private and in good faith and asked her to explain what a rationale was and what was going to happen. Her response, in my opinion, was rather evasive. So I asked again, and I wrote to all the governors.
It's extremely important for a school to be transparent. You're dealing with people's children. People are entrusting their children to you for their safety, for their well-being, and for what is possibly most important, aside from obviously safety and well-being, is their education, making sure they're getting a good education. And that starts from the top. That starts from standards coming down from the top. And as a parent, I'm not a parent, but if I would be a parent, and I felt that the school was being evasive when I asked them these kind of questions, I would be very concerned. My kid's going there for 6 hours a day. They're spending 25% of the time of an entire day there, even more potentially if they're doing after school clubs and all stuff like that, right? They're spending all this time there. They better be okay. They better be getting the best possible. There better not be any bad actors in there. And they better be upfront with me. It's my child that I'm entrusting them with. So yeah, I would be very concerned if they were being evasive about this.
Asking them to explain what was happening and why they decided to do that. I posted that letter in a WhatsApp group. It's a private parents WhatsApp group. Like most parents, we chunted about a few things. One thing we talked about on that group was a letter from the school commanding all parents not to talk about the school.
So I'm going to read this letter for you a moment because they've put it up on screen. So let me see if I can just get it so I can bring the entire letter up on screen. So in a letter dated, there we go. In a letter dated 7th of June, 2024, it says, "Dear parent or carers, it is with regret that I have to write this letter. Whilst the vast majority of parents support the work of the school and behave appropriately, there are a very small minority who choose to cause disharmony. It has come to my attention that social media, including WhatsApp groups and Facebook, have been used to make inflammatory and defamatory comments about senior leaders in the school." And this part is in bold. "I would like to remind all parents that the school will take action where comments are aimed at individuals within the school community or, as a result, cause disharmony within the school or distress to members of the community." Last year saw Cowley Hill have the highest levels of progress for any school in Borehamwood. Attainment at the end of Key Stage 2 was also significantly above the national picture. Now, at Key Stage 2, I got to remember what Key Stage 2 is. If I'm not mistaken, Key Stage 2 is from what we have in the UK is year 1 to year 6, is it not? I think that's year 1 to year 6, so that's about 5 to about 10 years old. About 5 to about 10 years old, somewhere around there. As a Board of Governors, we are very proud of the work of Mr. Hood and Ms. Thomas. I would also like to thank the whole staff for their continued hard work to make Cowley Hill the school that it is. I'd like to thank you for all your continued support. And there's a bit at the bottom which I'm just missing out. Is it too? Yours faithfully, and it says Jackie Spriggs, Chair of Governors. So that's the letter that was sent out to the parents on the 7th of June, 2024.
One thing we talked about on that group was a letter from the school commanding all parents not to talk about the school on Facebook or social media or WhatsApp groups. We thought that was a bit off. My partner
Massive red flag.
made a handful of vaguely spicy
Massive red flag.
comments. She referred to one school leader as a control freak. She said,
So there's one message here, which was just at the bottom of this. So he's talking about comments that his wife has made. And it says here, yes, blank manipulates people into thinking she's their buddy. Then they spy for her. She's a control freak. That's what this message says that is from this group chat that the parents have. And obviously the person's identity here is being kept out. But yeah, if you have concerns like this, you should be able to talk about them with other parents. Absolutely.
she said the chair of governors.
There's another message here which he's highlighted. It says, can you imagine what the, quote, action is that they'll take? Hello, 999. One of the school mums said something mean about me in a school mum WhatsApp group. Can you arrest them? Oh, how prophetic. Oh, how prophetic that turned out to be. The only thing is here, and it's got two laughing reactions to it. Clearly, they're having a bit of a laugh and a joke because this school is trying to come across as threatening, basically, all these things. Don't talk about us or else we'll take action, right? That's very, very concerning. And here she's making a little bit of a joke about it. Next thing you know, the joke is coming true. And that's what I mean. We can't make jokes like this in this country anymore because it's not a joke anymore. The joke that we used to make has simply become the reality.
Didn't know much about anything. Out of the blue, on the 12th of July last year, the chair of governors wrote to Rosalind and me.
So there's another letter here that the chair of governors, I don't know if it's the same one we just saw too, but they've said here to the two parents, I write further to you on the 12th of July, this is 2024. I write further to your recent communications with the school and the inflammatory and disparaging comments made on social media. On the 7th of June, the school wrote to all parents requesting that social media was not used to post negative comments about staff or the school, which causes disharmony within the school community. In this letter, we made it clear that the school would seek to take action against parents or carers who continued behaving in this way. Almost, what could be seen as causing disharmony? If you objected to the school indoctrinating your child into praying to Allah, maybe because you're a Christian household or a Jewish household or a Sikh household, regardless, if you're a secular household, okay? What if you objected to that and that caused disharmony within the school system? And we've seen on video that the school system is being completely Islamified. So what if you have objections to that? Is that causing disharmony? You know, Miss Spriggs, or whoever it is. In accordance with Appendix 3 of the school's published complaints policy and procedure, with school deems communication to be unnecessarily persistent, unreasonable, and or vexatious, the school will consider implementing communication management measures. This may also extend to restricting access to the school site. And this is something that actually happened, as you'll detail later on in the video, by the way. They were actually banned from coming to the school. With a three-year-old, mind you, goes to school and she has a lot of things that need to be taken care of. You know, she's one of the students, one of the young children. I can't remember what it was. I think they have, you know, one of the kids with quite a long list of things that need to be taken care of, special requirements, right? Your recent communications have included A variety of messages about the leadership of the school and appointment of the new head teacher in a Year 4 WhatsApp group. Comments about the process around the appointment of a successor to the current head teacher in a group on Facebook, which has been blurred out. This group contains 1.2 million members, so it must be like a national group or something like that. Further comments about this were also made in a WhatsApp group on the 7th of the 6th, 2024. Copying a letter to members of the governing board on 19th of 6th, 2024 at 10:55 p.m. where you question the appointment process of the new head teacher with regards to the governing board appointing to take on the role of acting head teacher, then copying this letter into a WhatsApp group. And there's some of you which are hidden by the subtitles of the video. But they say here, the above are only a few of the numerous examples of unacceptable, and then it's blocked by the subtitle at the bottom. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'll just quickly see if I can maximize it and maybe I can see it a little bit better. Right, so yeah, I still can't see it any better, really. Here we go. The above are only a few examples, the numerous examples of unacceptable communication that the school is aware of. The purpose of this letter is to request that there be no further communications of this nature. So that the school is, coming out with their second, their amber warning, if you will.
Last year, the chair of governors wrote to Rosalind and me. She accused us of posting disparaging and inflammatory comments on WhatsApp and Facebook. And she warned us that if we didn't stop, she would ban us from our daughter's school. So we pushed back.
Remember what I said about people in positions of dominion and power wielding it like a sword? I think banning parents from school, certainly, unless you have reasons for safeguarding of other children and stuff like that, right? Unless you've found the dad or the mom creeping around outside the school, when kids are coming out trying to take photos or trying to take kids home. Okay, if a safeguarding issue, fair enough. Obviously, I think you go a lot further than just simply banning them from school premises, obviously. But this is obviously politically, some kind of politically, as in relative to the school system, the politics of the school, quite clearly coming into effect, and they have every right to complain.
We complained. We denied the accusations. We complained that they'd been accessing our messages, and 2 days later, they banned us from the school. Now, this ban had really serious implications for our...
So there you go. They actually banned them from the school in the end. The school actually banned the parents from the school.
Our daughter, Sasha, she has epilepsy, she's disabled, she has special needs. We weren't allowed to have normal conversations with the school.
So obviously being banned from school in this scenario is going to be very, very concerning if you're a parent, especially of a child who has a lot of things that they need to take care of, and you're not sure if the school are actually going to, take it out on the child. You never know who you're dealing with. If they're going to react this way to simply being questioned about their recruitment process, and obviously we know that there's a lot of school teachers that they're not very good, let's just say that.
We could only send emails. So we had to send emails about everything our daughter needed for her health and education. We were going through the school's formal complaints policy. And then on the 20th December, there was a knock on the door. It was a police officer. He told...
Just before we get into that, if you remember the video we went through, I think it would have been either in the last episode or the episode before, in the sequence that these are going to come out. One parent talked about the school seeing parents as an obstacle to their agenda, not as partners in a child's education and formation. Again, perfectly prophetic for what we're talking about now. Perfectly prophetic what we're talking about now. And now you have the state using police as an enforcement arm against dissidents, in this case, these two parents.
Told me in no uncertain terms not to contact the school, not to speak to anybody about the head teacher recruitment issue. He even told me to take my daughter out of the school. In the end, we gave up, I suppose. We took Sasha out of the school. 5 days later, the police turned up.
I think it was kind of a hollow threat. I think in this instance, they were saying that you want to take the child out of the school almost as like a, we dare you kind of thing. We dare you to take your child out of school. We dare you to try and stop any indoctrination or anything like that. We dare you to, follow this up and actually try and stand up to us in a way I do wonder if there's any of that coming into play, because the police obviously just blindly go along with this. There's no distinguishment between any of the secret police organizations and these police organizations from throughout history now. So it's the same police department, same police, constabulary that willfully ignored any of the rape gang stuff, willfully ignored any of it. As Riley Gaines pointed out as well, she could see it all the way from across the Atlantic, what's going on now, this politicization of the police, and they're working hand in hand with the educational establishment, which are working in lockstep with the authoritarian, totalitarian government that we have in place that Nigel Farage said is led by an awfully good man.
When we were finally interviewed, the detective, who'd had no previous involvement with the case, he turned out not to have any evidence of those alleged crimes. He had no documents, he had no first-hand accounts. He just
be wary, because if they don't have evidence, they'll happily manufacture it.
Just had a vague statement from the acting head teacher at the school. It was Kafka-esque, it was surreal, it was bizarre, it was horrific. Eventually we were put on police bail and discharged at midnight. We got a £75 cab back to our house in Borehamwood.
Fucking
About
hell.
2 or 3
75 fucking quid. All of this happens, and then they got to pay out of pocket in a situation where people are already being rinsed of every little bit of money that they have, when the economy is in tatters, when the job market is horrible, when mounting bills are all that we know, and we're being taxed out of every single orifice that they can, and now they got to fork out 75 quid for a taxi back home.
3 days later,
It's disgusting.
kind of PTSD began to kick in. I mean, did that really happen? Even now, 2 months later, when I see a police car go by somewhere near our house, I shudder. I think, are they coming back for us again? Eventually,
So exactly how people in the Soviet Union thought whenever they'd see any of these things. Whenever you hear the Black Marias pulling up outside your apartment block, that terror. That's what I mean. There's no distinguishing. Other than the fact that currently we're not being thrown down into the basement of the Lubyanka and shot in the back of the head, just based on the fact that that's pretty much the only difference. That's pretty much the only difference between, 1920s Russia and what's going on now in the UK.
we got a call from the...
Oh, except that, no, there's one more difference. The people doing this are trying to make you think that they're the good guys. And they're trying to make you think you're so tolerant. They're so tolerant, and they're so good, and they're so virtuous, because, look how good we are. That's the only difference. The gay version, of course. We can't have, I think I made this joke on X a couple of months ago, of course, we can't have the actual, truly out-and-out evil communist, eat the rich, bourgeoisie versus proletariat, red and strong and that kind of thing, right? Or at least have that imagery, right? No, we got to have the gay version. We had to be the great British Empire, great Western world up until Trump took over. We had to be undone, not just by communism or Maoism. Of course, we had to be undone by the gay version of it, where it's not a, hammer and sickle. It's a weird fucking looking rainbow that spelled the end of our once great country. Of course.
The detective in charge of the case, he said to Rosalind, "We're taking it no further. I have found no evidence for these offences." And that was it. It was over.
And it doesn't matter, I know I pause this a lot, it doesn't matter that they didn't get a conviction or didn't pursue it or anything like that. That wasn't necessarily the goal. The goal was for the school to tell them, don't fuck with us. It's them acting exactly like a mafia family. If you look at the government, which is like the boss of this mafia family, and then you have the different capos, right? So you have almost like the courts as like their underboss, and then you have let's have a look. You have obviously you have unions and stuff like that cover all these things, but you have the school system. That's like one capo regime, if you will, and then you almost have like the healthcare system, which is another capo regime, and that's like on all other areas of where they have socialized medicine, whereby you have doctors saying if you're Israeli, we're going to kill you, or we should kill you, and all those kinds of things, because of conflicts that are going on elsewhere in the world. All of these things, you have, what other ones have we got? But basically the idea is all of these public institutions, education being a big one of them, the facility I used to work in was a public institution. That started going down the pan with regards to the diversity and equity and, net zero stuff. I've spoken about that with Tim before, some of the things that made me leave that place, because I could see the writing on the wall. But again, that's almost like another arm. And I guarantee you that if I'd stuck around there, I would have experienced probably similar things, because I wouldn't have gone along with this stuff. But it's almost like all of these different public institutions are like capos, and every single one of them has got to get their fill from the taxpayer and from the people, and then obviously all of those people end up getting worse off, and they all enrich themselves. And obviously, like the mafia, the money always goes up. The money always goes up.
And even now, we still don't know
Great pyramid
what we're
scheme.
meant to have said or done, which was so terrible or justified sending 6 police officers to our house. I don't know if we're the first parents to get our collars felt by the police.
And there's 6 more police officers and turned up for any, Muslim gang rapist.
For putting a school's nose out of joint. But I hope we're the last.
Hertfordshire Police has said, following reports of harassment and malicious communications, which are criminal offences, a man and a woman from Borehamwood, both aged in...
You can think about malicious communication can be anything from misgendering somebody to calling for genocide, I suppose. But, there's plenty of people calling for genocide in the Middle East, but they don't face any malicious communications. Of course they don't.
Their 40s were arrested on Wednesday, 29 January. The arrests were necessary to fully investigate the allegations, as is routine in these types of matters. Following further investigations, officers deemed that no further action should be taken due to insufficient evidence. A spokesperson for Hertfordshire County Council said, an interim head was appointed for the one term to allow time for a proper recruitment process to be carried out. The role was advertised publicly, and the recruitment was supported by external professional advisors. We are confident that this was a fair, transparent and timely process.
Why didn't they just say that? There's nothing evasive. There's nothing evasive about that statement. If this is coming from, coming from the county council, so it's not actually coming from the school itself. It says here, an interim head was appointed for one term to allow time for a proper recruitment process to be carried out. The role was advertised publicly, and the recruitment was supported by several external professional advisors. Why didn't they just say that? If they just said that, I'm presuming they didn't say this because, in my opinion, there's no, room for evasiveness there. They're just purely saying, look, the role was advertised publicly. They could just say that, nobody applied, or this person was the best. That just seems like normal. But anyway.
Yes. A Cowley Hill primary school spokesperson has said, we sought advice from the police following a high volume of direct correspondence and public social media posts from 2 parents, as this was becoming upsetting for staff, parents and governors. We're always happy for parents to raise concerns, but we do ask that they do this in a suitable way and in line with the school's published complaints procedure.
Didn't they just allege that they did follow that? And also, the comments that were being made outside of ones that were made on a public Facebook group, which anybody can comment on, were made in a private parents' WhatsApp. So I'm not sure what they're saying there. A lot of this doesn't add up. But that is the UK police state, everybody. That is a tremendous example of the UK police state that we are increasingly finding ourselves in. And it's very, very depressing, to say the least. And I did look up the actual Times article as well, but I can't actually get that up because you got to subscribe to the Times in order to get their full stuff. So, gonna go through some back things now. Some things that I really, really need to show you. I tell you what, we'll finish off with this clip. Actually, we'll finish off with 2 clips that are. One of them is maybe, we can take something from this and maybe we should something which maybe we could aspire to. We'll see. I'll probably get the video taken down from YouTube with the things that the gentleman will say. But anyway. Okay, there's been a community note put on something which I reposted, which is always good. So, some more troubling news coming out of... oh shit, sorry guys, give me 2 seconds. There's more troubling news coming out of Morocco. So, what has happened in Morocco recently? Only that 27,000 prisoners have been freed from Morocco. And there's a lovely hotspot holiday destination that they are headed to. And I'll give you a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds to think about where that next hotspot holiday destination might be. Now, if you guessed America, you would be right. That's probably a place that those people would like to go. But you're actually wrong in this instance. You're wrong in this instance. If you guessed Lithuania, I can't exactly remember where Lithuania is on a map. I think you'd be wrong. The area in this instance is quite broad, so you could have a number of correct answers. If you guessed Europe, you would be correct. So, this is a headline from Mario Narfel, I believe that's how you say it. I apologize if I get his name wrong. He runs the... I think my dog is having a bit of a dream outside. I believe she's laid on a bed outside the door and she's having a bit of a dream. So I can just hear the little mutters every now and again. It says here, Morocco frees 27,000 prisoners, some now illegally entering Europe. Spanish political analyst... and I don't know if this clip is actually in Spanish, we will see. Ruben Pulido warns Morocco has released nearly 27,000 inmates in 5 years, many now entering Europe via illegal immigration and being welcomed into 4-star hotels at taxpayer expense, because obviously they're only the best and brightest coming in, the doctors and the surgeons and the butchers. Anyway, among them are convicted terrorists, raising fears of rising street crime and terror threats across the EU. This comes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have a quick segue. I need to have a quick segue because just yesterday, or no, not even yesterday, 6 hours ago, this was 6 hours ago, I'm positive. Where is it? I'm looking for it. Just broke 6 hours ago, I believe, that there was a recent terror attack, or mass stabbing at least, in Trondheim in Norway. 4 people wounded, with at least one with at least life-threatening injuries. So, had to have a quick segue for that because we're seeing the fruits. We're seeing the fruits of this kind of thing, to say the least. And they're not good fruits. They're evil fruits, and every single one of them needs to be removed and obviously stopped from entering. There's millions. There's millions that need to go. Anyway, point being, let's get back to where we were. So, Mario Nofal. Pulido says Rabat is using immigration as a weapon to pressure Spain, now escalating from political leverage to criminal export. European leaders remain silent as border chaos grows and security risks intensify. Not surprising. Not surprising. So let's watch this clip, ladies and gentlemen. It's not very long. It's only 49 seconds. Let's watch this clip. It is indeed in, I don't know, Arabic or Spanish. So I'm going to read it for you as it goes on. Pointless having the volume on. So it says, when these prisoners are released from prison in Morocco, of which there are already almost 27,000 in the last 5 years and more than 6,700 last year, when these prisoners are amnestied, when these prisoners are released from prison in Morocco, the first thing they do is flee Morocco because they already have a criminal record. And they will not feel comfortable in Morocco. The police will be after them at all times. Wish our police were after them. And they tend to repeat offences. Something that is being studied by the police in cities. Such as Barcelona, the police, they have told me the Maghrebi... Oh, let's bring that back a little bit. The Maghrebi population is a multi-recidivist offender. A national police officer who was in an immigration hotspot, a hotspot where many illegal immigrants end up in boats, told me verbatim, they are emptying prisons and shipping them to Europe. Literally, this is what we're seeing. This is what we've seen and why Trump's been so hard on us at the moment in America. What was happening in Venezuela with the MS-13 guys. You know, and that's why he's employed the, the Illegal Enemies Act or Alien Enemies Act, whatever it was. That's why he's employed it. Because a lot of them, it's being increasingly likely they're actually having some kind of government backing. It's being used as a destabilization effort. And now we're seeing attacks in Trondheim. We're seeing almost daily attacks in places like Germany. So obviously they just voted for more of this. Here's a headline from Germany. So I was going to come to this a little bit later, but this is actually the article which I was going to go through from Jihad Watch. So this is by Robert Spencer. Germany, Muslim migrant rapes woman because she refused to swear on the Quran. She was actually Muslim as well. She didn't want to touch the Quran because she was having her period, which in the Islamic view rendered her unclean. In any case, what her ex-boyfriend did next illustrates how some Muslims use rape as a means of humiliation and punishment. This should be kept in mind when examining other phenomena, such as the Muslim rape gangs in Britain, but it isn't. So yeah, there you go. And you can go and read this article. It's literally going on Jihad Watch Germany. Muslim migrant rapes woman because she refused to swear on the Quran. More of these people are coming. Let's welcome them in. Let's give them 4-star hotels and let's give them all of the mosques. Let's build all of the mega mosques. Let's all start wearing, Islamic dress. And make sure, ladies, according to this enlightened scholar here, make sure you take the words of this enlightened scholar seriously, that you don't wear 3/4 garments is what they call them, and make sure you don't go out with your ankles showing, because it's just so disgusting and so horrendous. And how can you do this? How can you tempt what's the term, not the mullah, the ummah? How can you tempt the ummah in this way by showing those ankle bones? Check out this video.
This here is not Salwar Kameez. This Salwar Kameez has been made to turn into for the streets. I'll explain to you why. What the fuck is this? Sis, why the fuck is your Salwar 3/4? 3/4 the
Why the fuck is your Salwar 3/4? God. Just stone it. Just stone her now. Everyone just pick up rocks. Just pick up rocks now. No trial. No trial. No due process. Just straight to the stones. Straight to the streets with this.
Salwar, yeah? Boom, now you can see through the motherfucking arms. She's wearing a banana with fucking cotton all down here. You can see everything, bruv. Boom, now she ain't got no knuckles. Otherwise, this Salwar Kameez would have looked even more fucked. This is crazy.
The Salwar Kameez. God forbid you see the arms, guys. God forbid she has a translucent material over her arms. God, so tempted. She might as well just worn nothing at all. Just gone out and just bore it all and said, "Come on, let's have you all right now." This is the mentality.
See, bro, I ain't even gonna lie. Why the fuck do sisters do this shit? If you're gonna wear a Salwar Kameez, wear it with class. This ain't classy. This is trashy. I had to put it out there because sisters.
What about class where a grey hoodie and this poor excuse for, jewelry and whatever the hell is going on here. I suppose I shouldn't say that. You can't help that. And obviously I'm not exactly very gifted in that department either. So, I can't really say much in that regard. But, why you wear your Salwar Kameez in this way?
Sisters don't listen. So I had to cover the face because we ain't trying to do that. You get me? I got it Google still. But what I tried to do was get an average Salwar Kameez. So you have to understand, bro. Ankles are showing. Arms are showing. Sis, you ain't got no biceps. Why the fuck's your arms showing? Man's acting like the vest is connected to their arms. What the fuck are these outfits? This ain't Salwar Kameez. This ain't culture. This is taking the piss. This is the culture going into English fight. They kapre latte, you get me? You can see everything. Or, even when the necks come a bit down, it's fuckery, sis.
Yes, point there.
How the fuck have the sisters made Salwar Kameez for the streets? they should ask this question, because somebody should ask this question. How have sisters made salvarkamis for the streets?
Yeah, the point there in saying that, you know, about the current state of English as well. I wouldn't make the argument it's English culture to have this almost like hoe slut outlook, right? For lack of a better term, you know, the Lily Phillips and the Bonnie Blues. I wouldn't say that's like a great example of true English or British culture. It's often, you know, very dignified. Not really in recent times. Admittedly, I'm not exactly wearing, you know, a suit myself. But, you know, throughout history, especially until recent times, you know, men wore suits, women, you know, dressed, you know, very, you know, conservatively, but glamorously, you know, for the most part. And yeah, so there's only a recent thing that is sort of the you know, promiscuity has taken over in this massive way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that in English culture or in British culture that everybody sees that as a good thing and a thing to be celebrated. It's just, you know, liberalism gone mad. It's liberalism, you know, you've gone so liberal to the point where you just wear, you know, pretty much zero clothes anymore, and you're just a walking sperm bank, if you like, you know, Lily Phillips or Bonnie Blue and those kinds of people, right? You're just a walking sperm bank at that point. But, you know, this the kind of thing that we're importing on the daily and is actively growing more and more present in our communities. And it's the only thing is this is not limited. This outlook is not limited simply to Muslim women. You know, this whole thing, it's not limited to Muslim women. And I remember back when the days that it would be a joke before, it would be a meme before, like when your wife starts showing too much ankle, and it would be like the bunch of the Umar running back and all stuff like that, just be a bunch of like a stock photo of like a bunch of Muslims running or whatever. And now it's just turned into that they're just making it's not even a meme anymore. You know, it's not even a meme anymore. It's just, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is now in British society. Not in, well, it is in the same over in the Middle East, but, you know, not just confined to the Middle East anymore. But yeah, don't you just want this in your community? Isn't this just like so enriching? Isn't this like so enriching? Also enriching is the fact that the UK, for some reason, cannot deport a cocaine dealer because his daughter is too young to speak to him over Zoom. And this is I'm not sure where this is from, but this is a headline. Cocaine dealer not deported, as daughter, quote, too young for video calls. Kosovan 34-year-old allowed to stay in the UK to avoid separation from British partner and 1-year-old daughter, all because she's apparently too young. Well, she is too young in a way, the 1-year-old daughter, to use Zoom. And that's somehow the UK and the taxpayers' problem. And the people that he will no doubt, you know, the lives that he will ruin by bringing this stuff in and dealing this stuff in people's communities when they didn't want it. Not to mention, he's from Kosovo. We don't need this shit. We don't need this shit. But it's not just the ECHR, as the person making this post is pointing out that is the problem. It's not just the ECHR. It is our own Human Rights Act that is being exploited. And if we got rid of that, there's not really much that the foreign courts could do. But even then, Poland, I believe, is somewhat at least bound by the ECHR. And they don't really give a fuck. So it'd be awesome, you know, if we could have a little bit more of Poland's energy, the zero, that would be lovely. But anyway, you want to know more about what's going on in Scotland? We mentioned Scotland earlier, so I'm segueing into something slightly different now. So, this is a headline from the Glasgow Live from the 27th. This is from the 27th. How's that? I'll have to answer that in a bit. Right, I'm not going to answer that at the moment. I will answer that a little bit later. Let's obviously get a second phone call. But it says here is a news headline: Glasgow woman sexually assaulted by delivery driver who forced himself into her home. There is no prize if you can guess the name of the perpetrator. And I can't quite get the whole article to show on the feature, ladies and gentlemen, but I will show you this anyway. Keep your guess in mind as to the name of the perpetrator. I'll give you one clue. There's more than a clue. It outright tells you the answer. if you know anything about the stats that have been going on, the very depressing stat, possibly the most depressing stat that came out of the UK very recently, is that this man shares his name in common with the number one most popular name in not only the UK, but some other European countries also. 3, 2, 1. The Army veteran says she feels unable to smile at strangers without thinking I'm coming on to them after being attacked on her own doorstep by Muhammad Faizan Khan. Ah, yes, the great Scottish name, Muhammad Faizan Khan. So, yeah, if we scroll down a little bit, and I can reformat this. Give me 2 seconds, guys. So, you can see here, a Glasgow Army veteran has spoken out after a terrifying sexual assault by her food delivery driver in her own home has left her scared to smile or thank people for fear that they may attack her. This just shows you how much our, kindness and empathy has been used against us by people that simply should not be here. JJ, who has chosen to remain anonymous, ordered snacks to be delivered to her East End home at around 7 p.m. on January 4th last year. It's January 4th, and we're only now hearing about it in March. It has something to do with an ongoing trial or something like that. The 32-year-old, who had been due to travel to England to see family, was met at the front door by delivery driver Muhammad Faizan Khan, who complimented her eyes. Stop using these food delivery services. Stop using these food delivery services. Ideally, stop using taxis or anything like that if you can help it as well. They're the eyes and ears. They're the eyes and ears for these kinds of people. Do not use them wherever possible, okay? It's not worth having this food delivered. There's likely going to be trash anyway. If you're ordering it from whatever fast food chain that you want. Stop using them wherever possible, okay? Don't unnecessarily open yourself up to this kinds of stuff, okay? Creeped out by the comment, JJ tried to take the food from Khan. However, as she reached forward, he grabbed her before forcibly putting his tongue in her mouth, pushing her into her home before carrying out a sickening sexual assault. So you can only imagine what happened there. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't realize it was going to go straight into some details like that very quickly. Muhammad Faizan Khan was found guilty in December 2024 at Glasgow Sheriff Court. He was convicted to 12 months in prison and placed on the sex offenders register in February this year. So she's never going to get that experience gone, She's never going to be able to go through life without knowing that, this experience is going to affect her for the rest of her life in, untold number of ways. And he got 12 months in prison and a simple registration on a sex offenders register. I'm sorry, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's as simple as that. Why are we only hearing about this now when he was found guilty in December 2024? And how the hell did it take so long? This happened on January 4th last year, presumably January 4th, 2024, and it took until December 2024 to convict him? What? Oh, wait, I forgot. We got to fast track all of the right-wing extremists, quote-unquote, the right-wing extremists through the courts. I forgot about that. And all of the thought criminals. Bravely speaking to Glasgow Live about the ordeal, JJ said, I opened the door and he complimented my eyes. I tried to brush it off and take my food from his hands. He grabbed me and done the details that we all went through. I don't want to read them again. I'm epileptic as well, so my wheelchair was in full view in the hallway. The attack left JJ, who was pregnant at the time, bleeding, and she believes it was a factor in her miscarriage a few days later. I hadn't read this article. I read the headline, and I obviously clicked onto this to review it right now. I hadn't actually read. Obviously, I read this. I didn't know that was coming. I didn't know that I was about to read that. So, this disgusting shit stain on our country, who shouldn't be here, people like him shouldn't be here, sexually assaulted this woman who was pregnant at the time. And that led to her losing her child, potentially. I'm not going to say that it directly did, because I can't say that. But you can only imagine the things that happened in that assault that may have led to an outcome like this. And the government wants to bring in more of these people and let them do more of this. They're okay with that. They champion that because it's diversity, it's inclusion. Just never forget that it could be you, or it could be your daughter. It could be your daughter losing her granddaughter, or your granddaughter, sorry, or grandson, because of something like this. Because of some Mohammed doing exactly the kind of thing that their pedo prophet wants them to do. And she actually got, I don't want to say she got lucky, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse, because if you read here, neighbors had actually dropped something upstairs and it caused the attacker to become spooked. And as a result, it says here that it managed then to lead her to getting the upper hand, and she managed to get him out and lock the door. So obviously there was basically not a full fight by the looks of it, but there was then a scuffle, a struggle that took place to get him out of the residence. And it was lucky in a way that that she managed then to use that to get the upper hand on him. That's that army training coming in. But you can go and read this if you want to know more. I want to move on. I want to move on from this story. I don't even know if I want to do I had some clips, some funny clips lined up for the end of this show, like for the end of this podcast, for the end of this recording, that I thought would be quite funny to go over. I don't know if I want to now, after reading that. That's, there's no words. There's no words to describe how disgusting these cultures and these people are. And I don't care how offensive it is when I say that. I don't care who takes offense to it. I don't care what labels get thrown at me because of it. I don't want more of these kinds of things happening. I'm sick and tired of reading headlines. Sick and tired of reading headlines. There was one thing I was going to go over, but the video's been deleted now. I'm sick and tired of seeing headlines of terror attacks, of rapes, of all of these different things, of incidents of grooming, of all of these different things. I'm sick and tired of seeing. I'm sick and tired of the government actively taking the side of the people that do this. And anybody that tries to talk about it, even talk about it or raise the alarm on it, that they get put in prison. Fathers trying to rescue their daughters from things like this get thrown in prison. That we mentioned Ireland earlier, the problems that are going on in Ireland, that people are just getting harassed on a daily basis by people that simply should not be here. You know, the new Irish who nobody wanted, nobody voted for, that they wanted this inflicted on their people and on their communities. They can't even walk down a street in once beautiful Ireland. I believe this is in Ireland. It might be somewhere else. It's an Irish woman being stalked and harassed by a usual suspect.
I'm 22 and I just moved from Ireland. No, I'm trying to film a video and this man just won't leave me alone. I have no clue who he is. He's been following me for about 10 minutes. So I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. So I'm just using this as a vlog. So I can, like, one, look back on, and two, it's hard to... Can you stop videoing me, please? No, go away. Guys, he got stopped by the police.
Well, that's good to see at least. But you tell there she was videoing herself and then briefly switched over to what could have been her would-be attacker. And granted, I'm not sure where she is. Obviously, when you're in a country that isn't like ours, God knows what their customs are. I don't actually know where this video is from. She said that she'd moved from Ireland, so I'm not sure where this video is actually from. It's nice to see the police actually doing something about it, though. But this is obviously not uncommon.
That just shows if you're following someone and they say no, go away and stop following them. I'm 22.
Yeah, she's only 22, as she said. I'm not sure where she is, though. Would have helped to know where she is. So obviously, the political ideologies, the religious ideologies and religious philosophies will tell you a lot about the kind of people that are in these places. There's a reason why. People don't want to stereotype, right? People don't want to stereotype because of the programming that's been put into them. But there's a reason why people very often don't want a holiday in Pakistan. They don't want a holiday in all of these other places, you know, whatever other places. People may go there for various reasons. People will go to where was Khabib Nurmagomedov training, in the, you know, for the mountains and for the training stuff out there. That's great, you know. People may do camps. UFC fighters may do camps out there, you know. Somebody whom I've had the pleasure of training with in a gym, Oban Elliott, was recently helping somebody, forgotten his name, I think he was a German fighter, with his camp, and he flew up to Dusseldorf to help him out with him. It's not uncommon for people to do these things in those scenarios, right? But you hear the place, you hear the name of a place, and already, if it's a big place that a lot of people know about the cultural norms, a lot of people know about the people that live there, you know pretty much what to expect. Or you know what you at least can expect. It's the reason why now people are saying that Britain is going to be the first Islamic country, even though we're not technically the first, but first Islamic country with nuclear weapons. And they're saying that because the demographic and the political ideology and the religious ideologies have completely changed. We are now in many ways a completely Islamic country. No different from Pakistan, no different from, you know, Kabul or Karachi or where else we got? Islamabad, okay? No different from these places. Reduced to absolute shitholes, basically. And that's and you know, that's why people make the jokes about us now. Now, when you go to these places, you understand because of the people that live there, because of the societal norms, because of the religious norms, because of the political system, whatever it is, and because of the way that overall society views different things, like societal views on women, you know exactly what to expect. As a result, most people, you don't book a holiday in Karachi, for the most part. You might book a holiday in Dubai. But obviously, in many places, obviously there might be a little bit of crossover there, but in many ways, Dubai is a completely different country to something like Pakistan. You know, what's the capital of Dubai? What's the capital of Dubai again? I've bloody forgotten what the capital of Dubai is called. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. No, Dubai is capital city of the UAE. Sorry. You can tell that I'm getting, you know, a bit freaking thing now. Retarded of me to say that Dubai was a country when Dubai is obviously a city. Dubai is capital city of the United Arab Emirates, but you go to the United Arab Emirates, and it can often be completely different to other Muslim countries. Often, you know, a little bit more westernized, a little bit more business friendly, maybe a little bit more liberal almost. So, like I was saying, you go to places like the United Arab Emirates, even though they're, you know, Muslim countries, they're a little bit even more liberal than we are. The guy was on the show that I you know, talked about in a clip, I believe it was the last episode, where he says that you have groups in this country, i.e. the UK, that we have banned in the UAE because they're Muslim extremists, because they're Islamic terrorists, you know. But where you go and the culture there and the people there will dictate the experience. And the only thing is, we should not be importing more of that. That's the point people are making, is that what people do in their own countries, like their own countries, many ways up to them. In many ways, it's simply up to them. We don't have to import more of that, and we should not import more of it, and we should not have more of it, and even the bit that we have had of it forced on us. That's the thing. That's why people call it a betrayal of the electorate, because this has been forced on us by parties that said that they were going to do the exact opposite. And then the fruits of it, not just stalking and harassment, but outright kids getting assaulted and potentially killed. So we have here, this is two Muslim girls brutally beating a white Belgian girl. So this is, I would presume, in Belgium, because these are kids we're dealing with, and literally saying the police will do nothing, the school will do nothing, diversity is our strength. This is quite a brutal clip. So just, again, neither viewer discretion or, again, just know what you're about to see. Sorry, I do apologize, guys. It says that, you know, the two Muslim girls beat the white Belgian girl, but quite clearly it was the head of the white Belgian girl that, you know, ruthlessly attacked the fist of this noble peace advocate, these noble peace advocates here. And it's simply because, guys, whether you're from Belgium, whether you're from the UK, you know, if you're a Christian, if you're a Jew, if you're an atheist, if you're any of these people that aren't Muslim, and obviously people that are in a non-Muslim majority country, obviously they see it as their duty to imperialize and colonize, that obviously they see you as infidel, they see you as kuffar, they see you as second-class citizen, they see you as second class, and as a result you should pay jizya, and you should be treated exactly like this. Now imagine if this was your daughter. Imagine if this was your daughter and you wanted to, I don't know, maybe just go have a word with the parents, and next thing you know, you're locked up in a prison cell because you're too intolerant. You're too intolerant, despite the fact that, you know, your daughter's potentially got a concussion and all of these things, and the school will do nothing because they're heavily in on the action, like we talked about before. We echoed at the start the way they've persecuted Enoch Burke, for example, and you wonder why parents are increasingly more and more not wanting to send their kids to public school, not wanting to send their kids to school, because they know exactly this is the way they're going to be treated, because they're second-class citizens in their own countries. It's truly, truly disgusting. It's truly, truly disgusting. Do you want to know what else is disgusting? Do you want to know what else is really, really disgusting? This is Swansea. This is Swansea. Not very far at all from where I went to university. Not very long ago. So we're going to go through two incidents of things that have happened in South Wales currently. And one of them is a frankly disgusting visual from, I believe, I'll get the thing for you now. This is from St. Helens Road in Swansea. And they said here, this is from the Voice of Wales, and it says St. Helens Road in Swansea is basically an Islamic area with many chicken shops, barbers, halal markets, Islamic NGO centres, far-left NGO organisations, and the main Swansea mosque. Yes, Swansea has a mosque. Cardiff has a mosque. There's actually a mosque not too far from where my mother and father live, which, you know, is vastly disconcerting for me. This was posted 3 hours ago at the time, and this is on March 27th. And it's why you should never order food from anywhere from St. Helens anymore. And again, why you may want to be careful where you're getting food from with the increasing diversity and increasing cultural enrichment that's coming in, because you may just end up ordering something that looks just a bit like this. Ugh. Ugh. And obviously Swansea Council and Councillor Robert Stewart, they'll do nothing. They will do nothing to look into this. But yep, just slapped in the back of a van, just God knows whatever else been in there. This bit here, just, it looks way too orange. Just don't like the look of that. And obviously, likely locally halal sourced. So you know exactly the animal had the maximum amount of suffering before it eventually succumbed. And a clip from March 25th now. So when I said that, as I said, they were, the young especially, are indoctrinated into hating us, and they're actually indoctrinated into hating their fellow Muslim, obviously, if they don't toe the line, especially women, right? Because they get treated like this. And I want you to know that it's not the next words coming out of my mouth when I tell you this are not coming from an Islamophobic, quote-unquote, bigot like myself. They're going to be coming from, I believe, it's somebody who is actually an ex-Muslim. And yeah, he's actually the CEO of Project X, and dedicated to countering Islamic terrorism. He calls himself the Jihad Tsar. And I believe, at least I don't believe he's a Muslim now. I believe he's an apostate, and I believe he resides in America. But he quoted this video, and I've covered this video before, but I'm going to show you this video now. Just, I don't know if YouTube is going to allow this, but who knows, we'll see. I'm going to turn the music off. For those who can't see this, who are listening to it, it is a video of a Muslim male, and there is a Muslim female, or maybe a Yazidi, either or. She's dressed in headdress and fully covered in, you know, the garbs that they are forced to wear. And he, completely unprovoked, comes up to her, pushes her in the face to the ground with both hands, picks up what appears to be a hose pipe and starts whipping her with it. She tries to grab the hose pipe to negate the assault, and he pushes her off, starts hitting her with it again, and then she eventually just falls down to the ground in pain. It appears he hit her abdomen at one point, and she's seen holding her abdomen, and then she's reduced to a humiliated, you know, just sat on the floor crying, basically, after being assaulted, brutally assaulted by this, again, this is a teenager, these are two teenagers, Muslim male. And the post, which I'm going to show you now, is this. So, Dan Bermawi: I grew up watching my uncle beat my mother like she was property. I watched him do the same to his sister and his wife. I watched a neighbour beat his wife in broad daylight. I watched another neighbour murder his sister in the name of, quote, honour. I was 14 when I broke my own sister's shoulder, because that's what I was taught, that women are beneath us. They're ours to control. When my sister went to the police for protection, begging for safety from another brother who beat her, the police told her to drop it. Better to keep it within the family, they said. Translation: you're on your own. This is the outcome of Islam, its teachings, its text, its prophet. Women walk around behind their men. Women are expected to stay out of sight when a guest visits. A woman cannot speak up when harassed because it's always her fault. A woman marries her rapist by law, by fatwa, by sharia. Don't tell me this is just about, quote, bad Muslims, unquote. Don't insult your own intelligence by pretending the sacred texts don't say what they say. Muhammad said, hang the whip where your women can see it. It will discipline them. The Quran says, as for those whom fear your disobedience, strike them. Quran 4:34. For as long as people keep making excuses for it, wrapping it in the lie of, quote, misinterpretation, women will keep walking behind, eating after the men, marrying their rapists, and dying in silence, killed not just by their brothers and fathers, but by a system that blessed it all in the name of God. That's not from me. It's not from me, ladies and gentlemen, the transphobic, Islamophobic, whatever phobic British man, Welsh man. That's straight from the horse's mouth of somebody that was taught and indoctrinated into this system that at 14 years old broke his own sister's shoulder. Multiculturalism. Now, I wanted to cover this before because we covered the Gardai Stapo in many times before. And this is a video of an extremely intoxicated off-duty Gardai hassling and assaulting two young men. The video claims, or the post claims, he tries to steal the keys of their car and gets aggressive and claims, I will bury you. That's allegedly what he claims as somebody who's meant to be there to protect and serve the Irish people. You'll see his name. I'm not going to, his name. Yeah, we'll watch the video first before I show you the name, actually. But you can obviously see the post and you'll see his name. But the same Gardai that beats locals in Newton Mount Kennedy to a pulp for opposing illegal migration. So, let me show you this video, ladies and gentlemen. I'll quickly load it for you. So here we go.
Disorderly drinking. What is going on here?
You're not on duty. You know what? You're an asshole.
I'm not. What is wrong with you?
So-
I'm working in the morning.
Gonna pause in a minute. This gentleman is leaning into the car. He's leaning in from outside. What was it that he said?
Drinking. What is going on here?
You're not on duty. You know what? You're an asshole.
Calls him an asshole and appears to be like grabbing him here. He appears to be grabbing him. You can see his arm here if you're watching the video. So he's leaning into the car and his arm is cocked at an angle that would put his hand up towards the driver's scruff, basically. So it appears as though he's got hold of one of them here.
I'm not. What is wrong with you? I'm going to work in the morning.
Oh no, there we go. His hands are bit together, I think.
I'm going to work in the morning. I'm trying to go home. I'm going to the shop to go home. What is wrong here?
So that's the gentleman there.
What is wrong with you?
So there we go. That's where he said it. He said he's going to bury him. There we go. He said it. It comes straight out of his mouth. I'll rewind it so you can hear it.
I will bury you.
What
There
is
we
wrong
go.
with you?
One more time. One more time so you can hear that this is perfectly encapsulates what the police in Ireland and the UK think of their people.
I will bury you.
What is wrong with you here?
I will bury you.
I'm sorry. Why aren't you trying to go to work, right? For work in the morning.
This guy just wants to go home.
For what? Because you're only trying to go to work and you're trying to harass my car, assault me,
get assistance.
and try to assault me.
For what?
You're trying to
Oh,
assault me.
you're drunk there, bud.
Bring it in.
You're drunk there, mate.
I don't give a shit.
What do you mean you don't
Why are
give a
you
shit?
trying to go to work?
I don't give a shit.
You're not on duty now. You're drunk.
Why are you
So
trying
what
to
you
go to work?
Said it himself.
Take the keys out of a car. We just went to the shop and we're going home. We work in the morning. We're trying to go home from work.
Do you want me to bury you?
What are you on about burying us?
I will bury you.
Bury me.
I will
Bury me. You're a guard. What are you talking about? You'll bury me. You're
will
drunk.
bury
You're
you.
not on duty, mate.
Disgusting.
Hey, look, you're on video here now.
So here he is. So if you're watching this video now, you can see it where he's leaning into the car from outside. So he should not be leaning into anybody's car in this way unless you know them.
What?
Why are you trying to go on here? Try to go to work in the morning. Try to come anyway. Hold on.
So it's quite difficult to hear, but all that's happening is that the two gentlemen in the car are still saying what they were saying, exactly what they were saying earlier, that they want to go home, they want to get ready for work in the morning, they go work in the morning, you're drunk, please leave us
You're
alone.
on video here. You do realise that, don't you?
Reminding him that he's on video. As I said, always good to video these things, guys, because if you didn't have video of
Don't
this,
reel in the garden here.
it's all relatively easily deniable.
You're on video here, mate. So I don't know what you're doing.
I want to know.
You want to know what? You're drunk, mate. You're drunk. Get the fuck away from the car. Bury me. Bury me, my bollocks. Bury your own sins, mate. Go on.
Know what you do?
What?
Where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from Rackdrum, aren't I? Where are you
Drunk
from? You're
on
from Clash.
Dominion.
You're a guy that works in Newtown. You're off duty, mate. You're drunk. I don't know what you're doing standing here like a retard. Get away from the fucking car, will you?
Yeah, exactly.
Fool you.
Come on.
You don't have your badge number on you now.
Get your ass.
Get the fuck away from the car, mate. Get the fuck away from the car. Get my ass together. You're mate. You're fucking 60 odd years of age. You're standing here grabbing keys out of the car and you're drunk. What are you talking about? Oh, I will bury you. Bury me. I'll bury you in a fucking minute, mate. Get the fuck away from the car. Go on. Get away from the car, mate. Get away from the car.
Look.
Go get your next
What's
home
the
and go to
fucking
bed.
problem
You
here?
work in the morning, don't you? Same as we have work in the fucking morning. Get away from the fucking car, mate.
Oh, so they must have pushed him there. For those of you who are not, oh God, he's not moving. So for those of you who are watching the video, you'll see that it appeared that the gentleman who was outside the car got sick and tired of what was going on, sick and tired of this gentleman not moving from the car despite numerous requests. Well, later turned to demands to move away from the car. It appears then, I'm not sure if the conflict then was instigated, but either way, the drunk gentleman ended up getting pushed, and it really revealed how drunk that he was, maybe having to deal with all of the demons that are plaguing him, with all of the disgusting things that he has to do against his own people. Maybe he's drinking to cope with it, and maybe he needs our help. That's why I'll err on the benefit of caution and not give this guy's name out. But it's he got pushed, and it shows how drunk he was because he went down like a sack of shit. He did not have any balance or any coordination whatsoever. He went down, hit the floor. I'm not sure if he hit his head. I'll rewind it just a little bit here. I'm not sure whether he actually hit his head, but put it this way: he made contact with the floor, and then he wasn't moving. Oh, that was just after he landed. Wait there. There we go. So yeah, he went down, he landed what appeared to be like shoulder and head first, like judging from this smudge. If you're not watching the video, you can see that it's very smudged. It's very difficult to make it out because obviously the lighting is terrible in the region. It's late at night, cameras, they don't always do the best job of recording in the dark. And he goes down on the floor, and you'll see now at the end of this video, he's not moving. He's not moving at all. So I would have hoped that despite that, obviously despite how terrible the Gardaí as an institution are, despite how, in my opinion, how evil they are, for this individual, seeing that he wasn't moving, that they may have called him an ambulance or something like that, or at least reported the incident so that he could get the help that he needed. Because the last thing you'd want as well would be to go down with some kind of manslaughter charge or something like that if something bad was to happen. So yeah, that's that instance. And I think there was just a couple of other things. And it has been a lot of negative things from this episode. It's been a very bleak, nearly 2 hours. So we will have a little bit of relief at the end of this episode. So there's 2 things I wanted to show you. So one of them, there's 3 things actually, is that there's been a bit of news. So this is from The Guardian. So do take this with a massive, humongous gallon of salt, if you will. From Pippa Crerar, however you say her name, from The Guardian. She's a political editor at The Guardian. So, one of the Pravdarites. And apparently this is an exclusive for them. Keir Starmer, as of yesterday at 9:30 a.m., his Director of Communications, Matthew Doyle, has stood down from his role 9 months in Number 10, or after 9 months in Number 10. Senior Special Advisor is going after Downing Street's strategy and narrative stabilised after turbulence of early days in power. What? Oh, the Senior Special Advisor is going after Downing Street's strategy and narrative stabilised after turbulence of early days in power. Punctuation, lady. Punctuation, please. His role is to be split between James Lyons, who will be responsible for comms strategy, and Steph Driver, who will run comms delivery. So I think we might have seen, as is done by this comment, where it says, is he sick of lying constantly? Not that you'd hold them to account on anything, you're just a Labour activist and a sycophant masquerading as a journalist. So yeah, the question is, did he just get sick and tired of lying constantly? Did he get sick and tired of working on behalf of a regime that's completely destroying his country? And did he just get sick and tired of it? On the bright side, though, you'll be happy to know that we have new footage of Keir Starmer smashing the gangs. Might not be smashing in the way that you'd think it would, given the branding, but we have new footage coming straight from Downing Street, Number 10. This is a Voice of the Valley's exclusive of Keir Starmer smashing the gangs, folks. Get ready, get ready.
You betrayed, and I know that you'll never feel. You betrayed.
This is not AI. This is not AI, no, of course. It's an AI-generated video. AI is getting too good. AI is getting too good. But yeah, for those of you who aren't watching, it is Keir Starmer, AI edited video of Keir Starmer running away from the podium at Number 10 and jumping headlong into a boat filled with, migrants. It appears to be like young migrants, I think men and males and females. But this is the Labour establishment in a nutshell. This is the Labour establishment in a nutshell. You have to laugh, as I said, you have to laugh, otherwise you will cry and possibly try to do something stupid involving a rope and the beam in your garage. Because it's that depressing. It's that bleak. On the other side, one of those instances where you wouldn't believe it happened if you hadn't seen the video. And I just got to double check. Is there music in this video? I don't think there is. Okay, cool. So I don't like seeing this because it's a schoolyard fight. So again, not great, but it happens. Appears to be 2 teens. I believe it's somewhere in America, but this is one of the instances where if something hadn't been recorded, or if something hadn't been recorded, you would not believe it had happened. And I think some people might have walked away from this not quite believing what they had seen, and wouldn't believe it, even though they were there, if it hadn't been recorded either. This is I'm not going to say it's tremendous because it's not good, but it's just one of those, it's one of those things where, you know, you're just like, that happened. And you kind of have a laugh about it, even though you know you really shouldn't. But check this video out, guys. And this is not meant to be a laugh at anybody's expense in particular. It's just one of those moments when the stars align and it creates one of those perfect moments. It's a good one too. He moves in. Boom. So for those of you who aren't listening, so I'm not sure who's the aggressor here, but it certainly seems that this guy is more of the aggressor. So maybe you could say that this is somewhat of karma. But there's on a patch of grass, there's two gentlemen, and one of them lays a solid right hand into the other, sends him sprawling backwards, not down to the ground, but he nearly loses his footing, and then he's moving backwards, and the other guy, the person who landed the punch, starts moving in to finish off his assault, so to speak. And then out of nowhere, the kids that are congregating in the background, a trash bin, or a rubbish bin as we'd say in the UK, comes out of the crowd, over the top of the crowd, out of nowhere for some unexplained reason. I've frozen the video here, you can see that it's come all the way out of left field and absolutely donks on the aggressor's head in just one of those perfect moments. Just one of those perfect moments of absurdity. You can see it coming in and it's like dun 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 dun, copyright music, and boom, and there's clearly a liquid in there. It's not good, but I don't know. I don't want to say that that's like comic relief, but let's face it, if that happened when we were in school, and things always happen, there's a great instance of something that happened when I was in school, where it was a snow day, and the school was still open, but there was ice all over the playground. And two of my friends, well, one of my friends, the other one wasn't really a friend at the time. I didn't really know him. And they were just having a bit of a playful scuffle on the part of the ground that was a bit more secure. And one of my other friends starts running over to them, going to get involved. And he slips on a bit of ice right before he gets to them. And no word of a lie, ladies and gentlemen, this was when we were in, I want to say year 7. So it would have been when I was about 10 or 11. And no word of a lie, he slips, and he was very tall at the time. He's a very tall gentleman, and he goes horizontal, perfectly horizontal in the air. His feet go out, his head goes back, his legs come up. He's horizontal in the air, and it's just one of those perfect moments. And this is just one of those things. Again, you had to be there to believe it. If it wasn't on video, you never would believe it. Don't endorse that kind of behavior. It's not good. Don't go throwing rubbish bins around. But if you are going to, make sure it lands on somebody's head and you record it. That's all I'm going to say. And finally, I'm going to leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen, because I feel it would be good if maybe we could embrace this kind of spirit a little bit more. It might solve a few of Britain's problems. Now, I'm not 100% sure who this gentleman is. I think his name is... Oh, well, I'll tell you who it is now, because I've got the name here. Something Wallace. And this was shared on my X page about a day or 2 days ago. Guy Wallace. His name is Guy Wallace. And I think in some ways, maybe we could all benefit from being, especially on a countrywide scale, being a little bit more like Guy Wallace. I just think maybe we can get a little bit of our backbone back. And maybe, I'm not saying this is a personal trainer. I might say this is not a political correspondent, but as a commentator of world events. just somebody with a podcast, right? Maybe we could go with a little bit of a boost from getting back on the smoke pipes and stuff like that, and actually being proud of masculinity and those kinds of things. I'm going to hand you over to Guy Wallace now.
These successive British governments would seem to want everybody to end up as a clone of everyone else, as a teetotal, non-smoking, left-wing, politically correct, pacifist, puffed fucking vegetarian. Well, that wasn't the sort of Brit that conquered half the bloody world 2 centuries ago.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I completely agree. Let's just break this down, guys. I think this needs to be studied. You may not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like. You may not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like. This right here. This right here is ready with all of that performance built up to go and reclaim the colonies. Let me tell you, we're going to go reclaim the colonies by being more like Guy Wallace.
These successive British governments would seem to want everybody to end up as a clone of everyone else, as a teetotal, non-smoking, left-wing, politically correct, pacifist, puffed fucking vegetarian. Well, that wasn't the sort of Brit that conquered half the bloody world 2 centuries ago.
Write that one down, folks. Write that one down. Let's play it one more time so you can write it down.
Would seem to want everybody to end up as a clone of everyone else, as a teetotal,
non-smoking, left-wing,
politically
correct, pacifist,
puffed fucking vegetarian.
Well,
that wasn't the sort of Brit that conquered half the bloody world 2 centuries ago.
Let us please be less like, I don't know, anybody who you want to pull into the firing line to make this point. Keir Starmer, Mark Rowley, David Lammy, whoever the hell it is. Can we be less like them, the people that have destroyed the country, and more like Guy Wallace, please? I'm ready to go sail the 7 seas and reclaim the colonies now. But yeah, right, that'll do. It's been 2 hours of nonsensical rambling, but a lot of important things to go over, as always, really. And this shit never stops. Literally, my entire thing has just been bookmark. Before we go for this episode, let us just check in one more time to see how that Enquiry is doing, to see how Rupert Lowe Enquiry is doing. It's been 2 hours since I spoke about it. Shit. It's been 2 hours since I spoke about it, guys, and we've had another 200, nearly 300 supporters, and another, it was 328 when we started, and I will show you it now, 336,000 just at the time of recording this episode. 2 hours and 2 minutes. Let's fill you full of hope. Does give me at least a little bit of hope that maybe we will get the full unadulterated truth. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching, listening, as always. Hope you have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. This has been George Cresswell with Voice of the Valleys, and we got some good interviews coming up next week. So do stay tuned for those. They won't be coming out next week, but they'll be coming out not too far after. Got one for Wednesday, potentially one for Thursday. So we've got one guaranteed so far for next week, and we got one maybe, an additional one maybe for next week as well. It might be a little bit longer. So yeah, got some very, very good interviews coming up as well, and potentially going to be looking at going to some events this year as well in the near future. So we will see. Anyway, have a good one, guys. Looking forward to catching up with you next time. And yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. This is your friendly neighborhood far right thug signing off. Godspeed.